Hello and welcome to the last part of the Flax genetics saga. Today we'll be talking about CDC Triffid, a story of unintended consequences. One of the most predominant herbicides used in Western Canada are the sulfonylurea herbicides. These are used in many fields but sticks around the soil, putting a hard limit on what type of crops can be grown on that soil, as many crops are sensitive to that herbicide and will die if planted on it. Flax is amongst one of the most sensitive to this type of herbicide. Thanks to a bit of good fortune, a unique line of Arabidopsis was discovered growing in fields contaminated by this type of herbicide. Due to the highly genetically variable nature of the species, this Arabidopsis strain had a modified acetylolactic synthase gene. This allowed the strain to survive in contaminated soils. The gene was then incorporated into the Norland cultivar to breed CDC Triffid. The cultivar sold well, but in the early 2000s, the EU passed its zero-tolerance policy for GMOs. As a result of this, CDC Triffid was banned. Flax export resumed after the ban, but the transgene found in CDC Triffid was then found in non-GMO cultivars, creating concern and putting the trade partnership on the rocks. It was found that through previous studies that flax outcrossing occurs at a range between 1 to 5% of the time. The same experiment found that there was frequent crossbreeding between wild flax and cultivated flax, both of which are endemic in Canada. This indeed may be the origin of the transgene escape and subsequent contamination of non-GMO flax. Right now, all flax tested for its gene was done using an assay created by the University of Saskatchewan. As luck would have it, it seems that this gene is gradually disappearing from the environment, and the contamination rate is being reduced over time, not just in the wild but in our cultivated fields. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are below. If you want to buy my book, you can also find that link in the description box below. There are lessons to be learned from this little foray into GMO technology. Utilizing technology that's not well trusted will cause trade problems. In essence, if a customer thinks that your ingredients are dangerous, they will not buy your product. Whether or not there are safety risks involved in CDC Triffid or not, on a human biology level, I cannot say one way or another, as I'm not a medical doctor. But what I can say from a consumer preference standpoint is that when you want to get someone to eat something, perception matters just as much as reality. On a more subtle note, genetic modification technology in a location where wild relatives dwell creates a risk for genetic contamination that may alter the ecology of the overall environment and potentially pass on the gene to non-GMO cultivars, potentially mucking up the market that other farmers are growing with. And the final note I should mention is that weed and pest management and selection should be done carefully, as several herbicides will limit the types of crops used. And you should know the choices you have to make and the crops you're willing to grow beforehand prior to herbicide selection. Because as we all know, life is full of trade-offs. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.